All right, thank you very much. All right, as I was saying, Globi, we are a software company that has a platform that clients get to us and with different projects. And we actually try to make their work easier by actually taking on all the hard work that's required when it comes to data collection using drones. And all they have to do is get on our platform, make a request, they get on the platform, and they just give us an area or the location that they're interested in, the type of data, collecting the type of data, and the type of camera. For example, if they're interested in thermal or RGB or multispectral or any other type of data. And then it is our job now to work with drone operators across the globe. So like I was saying, we have over 7,000 drone operators globally and in over 130 countries, which makes us very special and very unique when it comes to getting a lot of drone projects done quicker. Why we are so special is that we are actually we work with the locals in a particular community. So like the project that I'm going to talk about, the work we did during the Cyclone Freddy, we do not import skill, we do not import labor. We work with the locals that are within a particular area. What I mean by that is, if you're from South Africa, if you're from Egypt, if you're from America, and have a project in that particular area, our target will just to give you work in that particular location. And yeah, I think with that I should have explained almost the first 3 points, because we want to give you guys much time to actually explain, to ask more questions. To ask more questions. And so Globi, almost in every section that Phyllis just explained in the previous slides, Globi is actually involved in all those industries. We are champions. We are also we're in huge support of Drones for Good and all the humanitarian projects that are out there. So that's how we also operate. So it's not like every project that we take, these are actually, we try to also check ethically what the project is actually requesting. And most of all, we work with the local regulations. So depending on what maybe Malawi regulations say, what Ghana regulations say, we try to accept projects accordingly. In Malawi, since this discussion is mostly focused on Malawi, as Globi, not only have we worked in this search and rescue, we have also worked in building and coming up with a flood model in Rumpi and Karonga districts. Our client for these 2 works that I'm going to talk about is UNICEF. UNICEF Malawi is one of our clients, and it's always a great joy as Globi to actually work with operators, especially from the ADDS, since they're licensed. And this work of coming up with a flood model, Globi's role is we consulted locals. Like I've said, that's how we work. So we had a team, because of what the accuracy that's needed from this type of project of a flood model. We worked with our local surveyors in the country. We worked with our local drone pilots, people from DODMA and all the other government agencies as well. And we mapped about close to 20,000 hectares in these 2 districts. We mapped 13,500 hectares in Karonga, and we mapped about 6,500 in Rumpi, different locations. The Rumpi Boma, there's Nzokoto area, as well as Mlowe. So these are, so generally these are locations that were that surround the north and south Rukuru River. So that's what we did, and our role is, so we capture data, we process, and for such huge projects, we also work with other partners when it comes to processing huge data sets. We don't champion much the processing itself, especially for larger areas. For some of these, we have our partners that we actually work with if the project is very big, especially on the processing. But when it comes to data collection and capturing, that's all us. Talking a little bit about the search and rescue, why Globi is actually unique. We know we're one of the people that actually use drones for the search and rescue, maybe at least like in Africa. And how it normally works, just to give you a picture, UNICEF got to us. We have a long-term agreement with UNICEF, so they get to us. Okay, when there's a disaster that has happened, they get to us, and we, from our platform, which I encourage all of you to actually get on and register, works pretty well if you have at minimum, if you are licensed, because those are some of the things that we checked, that we check at least in the platform. If you are licensed and you at least have either you have or you're associated with a business that you can actually, like you're registered, you have a business that you can actually be able to pay you money through. We don't pay individuals, we pay companies. So when a request from UNICEF comes, okay, such as there's a cyclone in the southern region of Malawi, and then we need some imagery. Depending on the specifications from UNICEF, we get into a platform and we look at the locals within that area. So for example, during search and rescue, we were mostly targeting operators that were already in the southern region, because at that time movement was a little bit challenging. So yeah, but in Malawi alone, we have over 60 drone operators in Malawi that's spread across northern, central, and southern region. That's why we are unique. So it's when the project is almost to happen, we try to keep you on standby, and once everything is confirmed, we just then trigger you, and then you get to be on site. And it was a great way to work with some of you that are here on the call. Some of the companies that we work with, like I said, we don't import skill or /labor. We try to work with the locals within the particular region. And I've seen some of them on the call. So when it comes to companies, I remember there was Quasi Aeros, that's a company here in Malawi. There was DroneLink. Yeah, I think when it comes to I think those are the ones I remember on top of my head. But when it comes to individuals, I think we worked with Pauleni, Bolin Vumbwe, Hope Chilunga, Rachel Kumwenda, Patso Kalawe, Professor Dao Pemba in the southern region, in Zomba, Yami Kaninyoni, and Fred Sajiwa and Jacob Waluza. And they were locally being managed also by Pumzile Jere, who was like our local project manager, because of we needed more hands to get the work done. We did all this not as a solo company, but we did all this together with other organizations that were already on site. For example, Red Cross Malawi, Department of Disaster Management, DODMA, and all the people that formulated actually what's known as an emergency, an EOC, which is an emergency committee. When such things happen, they were all assembled. WFP was there as well. Some of the impacts that was collected, some of the benefits of the data that we actually collected was to, in a nutshell, I would say what Phyllis already explained, offering information so that people actually make informed decisions. Some departments such as WASH, they needed to have an idea of how the camps actually are looking, how congested they are, what kind of help to actually send. So some of the information was actually being obtained from these drones. We also have images from other like roads, bridges, crops that were actually affected. So all this we sent to our client, which was UNICEF. So we segment all this information that, okay, for crop, for agriculture, this is information, these are the regions, these are the districts that we collected. So you provide this information to the Minister of Agriculture to provide the relevant information to actually be able to help. ETC, so Minister of Transport, we talk about the roads and all they talk about infrastructure. Since drones, they captured almost whatever could be visible, it's just a matter of presenting the information to the relevant people. So we captured the still pictures, depending on what the EOC was directing us to provide. So it was still pictures, videos, as well as with mosaics for some of the areas. One of the touching stories for me personally was for some location in Mulanje, where I think it was almost isolated. People didn't know how much damage was done until we actually were able to collect such data. So it's a great it's great to be involved with technology that's actually being used to solve real people that have got real problems. Yeah, I think in a nutshell, this is what I can explain as in who we are as Globee, what we do, and some of these projects that we did. I'll give more room for questions towards the end. I think from this phase, yeah, we'll be able to share a link to our platform in case you want to register and we can talk more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex. That was very informative. And I hope it addresses everyone who had like questions asking to say, okay, like what did the drone pilots do, or what role did drones play when it comes to Cyclone Freddy? So yeah, now you can tell that when we say drones for good, we actually mean drones for good. So yeah, thank you again, Alex. And as Alex said, everyone who has questions, like more about the project and everything, you can either type them out or you ask them towards the end of the presentation. So I'm gonna proceed from here and address questions to say, okay, maybe someone is interested in getting a drones here in Malawi, like what can they do, right? How do I join? How do I become a part of everything that you guys are doing? Okay, so right now, if you're interested in becoming a certified drone pilot, these are the resources that we have available. You will need to go through the African Drone and Data Academy, which works together with SH Aviation as well as the Department of Civil Aviation. So what the African Drone and Data Academy will do is they will train you in the data part first, which is kind of GIS, how to process drone images and stuff. And then after that, you'll go through a training where they'll actually teach you about the hardware, the software that is involved, as well as they'll teach you how to fly the drones. We also have SH Aviation, which teaches you radio telephony, and they will give you a radio telephony license as well. They play an important part as well because they teach you how to communicate with other users of the airspace. Because when you're flying the drones, it's not just you who is in the sky. There are a lot of other entities that are involved as well, so you will need to know how to communicate with them. Then we have the Department of Civil Aviation, which is the one that is mainly responsible for licensing you. So after all those lessons that you've been through, they will then conduct their own examination, which is a knowledge exam and a flying exam. So they'll examine your pilot skills and everything. And then after that, you're going to have to go through a complete medical check. When you pass that as well, that's when you can take all your documents to the Department of Civil Aviation, and then you get your pilot license. The pilot license is actually valid for 2 years. So after every 2 years, if you still want to keep practicing, you are then going to have to renew it with the Department of Civil Aviation. And as Alex said, for companies like Globee, which would like to engage you in some important projects, it's very important for you if you have a drone to have a license as well. So there are a set of regulations that you need, most of which are created by the Department of Civil Aviation, like in conjunction with UNICEF and stuff, that teach you how to operate as a drone pilot in the Malawi airspace. So it's very important um, to engage these entities without just, okay, I can fly a drone, so let me proceed, right? It's very important to follow the regulations. So this is one of the best ways to go about it. And then some will also be like, okay, I don't really have an interest in being a drone pilot per se, but I would like to get involved in the drone industry in Malawi. So what should I do? Like, are there other roles that are open for people who don't have drone pilot licenses? So there are a lot of other opportunities in the drone space that don't really involve flying drones. So of course I still put drone pilots and flight instructors as some of the opportunities that are available. So yeah, you have the drone pilots, we have flight instructors, but to be an instructor, you still have to go through a special training and you have to get a different license for that. So if you're interested in becoming an instructor, you're gonna have to go through a whole other training and stuff. Apart from those two, We have things like product management, where you could work with companies that are manufacturing drones. If you've done product management before, I think that would be like a good start to get into product management in some companies. We have data analysts. Like, not only do we collect mapping data, but there's a lot of data that is also collected from drone testing from companies that are manufacturing drones. We have drone maintenance, where if you're very good with like electronics and you know your drones really well, you could work with people who have their own drones who are facing like some troubles or like some faults. You could work with those people and fix their drones for them. We have project management, where now in the drones for good sector, like drones are being used for different projects, I would say. So yeah, you could work as a project manager for those projects that have drones as a use. Yeah. We also have software development, where someone asked me like, how can I, as a software developer, get into the drone space? So for companies that, for example, are manufacturing drones, software developers play a very big role, as you have to work with in-house softwares to like run your drone, in-house softwares that are kind of tailored to the parameters that you set up for your drones and its functions. So the company that I work for, like for example, we have our own software engineers, because our drone has, we do everything in-house. So we need those people to kind of say, okay, we're finding, for example, these issues when we're flying, they're the ones who kind of address things like that. They're the ones who help with setting different parameters to our technology, stuff like that. So there's a lot that software developers can do. We also have marketing and sales, where if you're good with marketing, yeah, you're like very good with selling products. It could be it could be good for you to like work with a company that is manufacturing drones and trying to sell that product to kind of different markets. So, yeah, this brings us to the end of my presentation. I really wanted to make this as interactive as possible. And I'm sorry for some of the hiccups that we had, but thank you so much for your attention. And if you have any questions for me and Alex, yeah, this is the time that we can address some of those. Also, if you have any comments, thank you so much. If you have a question, you can raise a hand.
You can find the raising hand functionality, but my question is, let's say one wants to get a drone for just for recreational use. Yeah, what are the like basic restrictions, things you can do, and things you can do or maybe shouldn't do that one should consider before actually getting the drone?
Okay, so if you're like just like an enthusiast, I would still recommend going through some of the regulations for flying drones in Malawi. So as a certified pilot, you learn things about restricted areas where you really just can't be flying anyway. You can fly close to airports. You can fly in crowded areas where it kind of poses a risk. You can fly close to things like power lines. Um, there's a certain altitude that you have to fly. So I think it would be best to still kind of consider accessing the regulations that we have now, rather than just uh, doing it. Of course, I know that a lot of people are doing it, and yeah, but it's highly recommended. Also, you need insurance for your drones, stuff like that. So there's really kind of many regulations that you need to follow before you can just fly your drones. And yeah, if there's anyone who's interested or is just an enthusiast and is looking for the regulations, feel free to message me. You can message me on Twitter, you can message me on LinkedIn, or if you have my phone number, you can also message me. I can share the regulations with you. Okay, there's a question in the chat. I think this one would be best if Alex you answered. It says, what if you you are licensed as a drone pilot, but you want to be part of Globi? and you don't have a personal drone, is there a way or a chance of being part of Globee? Alex, that one is for you.
Yes. To answer the question, yes. Sometimes because I know drones can be pretty expensive. And also to give an personal experience also, and some people that I know of, sometimes people have access to a drone without necessarily having a drone or owning the drone themselves. So, but yes, what we want to see in the platform is we want to see the drone. And if you state that maybe you have a Mavic 4 Pro, if it's not yours, but at least you're sure that you have access to it, such that if we request you, maybe during, like, let's say during the time of the search and rescue, if we request you that, okay, there's a project that would utilize a 20 MP camera like your Mavic 4 Pro, you should be good to go within a short period of time as possible to actually execute it. And also, yeah, so if we have access to a drone, key thing. If you have a drone, better, but otherwise just have access to a drone so that when you task your job, you can actually be able to do it.
Okay, thank you so much, Alex. There is another question.
Yeah, I see any drone insurance companies operating in Malawi. Honestly, from experience, there is the quote unquote, there isn't as drones. Okay, yeah, there are insurance companies. It's a new field for them, but from the recent research that I did, I know Britam offers this. So you can check with Britam. Yeah, just go to Britam. Britam offers, and just to give you more insight, for a Phantom 4 Pro, which was costed about 2 to 3 grand USD. The cost earlier this year, earlier this year, latter end of last year was 400,000 plus 411,000 Malawi kwacha for the insurance, comprehensive and for 1 year. So yes, I know for sure Britam.
And also some anyone else who has like a question or a comment?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Ndabile. Ndabile is asking, what would your advice be to people that are newly venturing in the drone industry? For me personally, my advice would be keep your mind open. There is a lot to learn in the drone industry, especially in Malawi, where there really is a lot that is happening in the drone space. So for me, it would just be keep your mind open, be open to learning from different industries, because there's not only the mapping. If you're interested in working in the health sector, in communities, there are a lot of opportunities that one can get into working with drones in Malawi. So for me, it would be keep your mind open, don't stop learning, look into all the new tech that is being used for drones. So as tech is like evolving really quickly, like always make sure that you're on top of your game, learn new tech, learn new things. Yeah, that's the advice that I would give. Jabulani, I see you raised your hand. You can go ahead and ask your question. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Alex.
Yeah, let me add in a little bit to this question about the advice. I think the drone I think it's what I used to tell students during a DDA class, that you don't need, I think, to be a little careful. You need to be long-sighted before getting into the ADDA, not only the ADDA, drone industry per se, because it has an ability to alter your career path without even knowing. And I think most in Africa, we just jump whatever shows up. So sometimes it's good that, what I mean by this is you might have trained in engineering, you might have trained in maybe fishing or something else, or maybe plant technology, plant AI, whatever industry that you might have always wanted to be in, and then maybe an application to join, or you have the money to get a license shows up. It's always good. And then the drone industry, because I think it's new and it's generally a well-paying industry, if you get the opportunities, sometimes it's easier to divert from your original plan or from your original path that you might have set for yourself. So before you get into it, I would say maybe at least have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, such, okay, I'm an engineer, how do I want to use drones? Because even if you just choose manufacturing drones alone, it's already a career on its own. Piloting drones, it's already a career on its own. Analyzing data, it's already a career on its own. So I would say just be long-sighted and find a way to blend whatever you're doing or whatever has been your plan to how drones can actually contribute to that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Alex. Jabulani, you had your hand up. You can ask your question.
Yes. First of all, well done to you guys. When it comes to the world of tech, I'm such a tech dinosaur. But to see that you've brought this to light up until this meeting, that's really commendable. So I've got a question. Within your slides and your briefs, you've mentioned a lot about NGOs. They seem to be the ones, spearheading the drone idea within Malawi. Yes, I know you've mentioned a bit about law enforcement. I take it that's in Malawi. But what engagements do you have with the Malawi government in terms of them actually, as a government, spearheading this for our country, rather than relying on, UNICEF, for mapping and stuff? Whereas I think the Malawi government has got its own projects which could do with, the capabilities of drones. So my question is, what are you guys doing in terms of getting the Malawi government to, or are you actually engaging with the Malawi government for them to actually spearhead this, like other countries do, especially here in the West?
I can try come in, and I'll be honest about it. Honestly, the best that the Malawi government is actually doing when it comes to drones is to make the environment conducive and suitable for operation. But honestly, I've been to government offices before requesting for plans and any way that we can actually work with the government themselves. But one of the top officials, name withheld, came open and was honest with me that the Malawi government on its own may probably not be ready to actually embrace the tech or to spearhead using their own resources, because the industry is actually quite expensive. So I think that's why it thrives on UN organizations and any other organizations, let alone international companies. So that's the challenge. And to give a little bit insight on the same, something that I've learned is our approach. I think because of the nature of the economy, etc. If Malawi government wants to, Malawi government would like to maybe employ a lot of people, let's say 10 people, and they can be the driver there, maybe 2 nurses if they have to move, for example, medicine from this point A district to point B to point B. Maybe they may need a driver's allowance. They'll have to employ a driver, maybe 2 nurses, maybe somebody to load the medicine, number of guys. So in one ambulance, one trip, a couple of guys, another trip, a couple of guys. The drone will only need one pilot, maybe a visual, or maybe a team of 5 people can do an almost similar work in maybe 5 locations, even faster and even more efficient. the tech is good, it's efficient, it's faster, but because of maybe the way the country is as of this state, we would rather employ more people than to maybe do things faster and not have a lot of people employed. So in a nutshell, I don't think Malawi government itself on its own is ready for this tech. It can only make the environment, it's only making the environment conducive and working with others that have got the financial muscle and ability to do the execution. Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you.
There was another question in the chat where someone asked, what challenges do you face during drone operations? And then someone asked, any requirements or prerequisites before learning how to fly drones? So I'm just going to answer them quickly. Unfortunately, we have 6 minutes remaining and also it's almost 7. So I'm just gonna ask those questions quickly. If more people are interested to stay on and we can address some of the questions, we can rejoin using the same link as before. So in terms of challenges, there are different challenges that you face pretty much in every operation that you do. So challenges could range from the technologies that you're using. There could be environmental challenges, situational challenges. So for example, I'll start with one of the obvious ones that most people know. We have things like bad weather, where most drones, pretty much all drones, I would say, have limitations. So, like for example, you can fly if the wind is this much, or you can fly when the rain is this much. So those are some of the challenges that you can face when it comes to the technology. To the environment. And then we have maybe challenges that you're facing in the community, that people could be not so open to you flying a drone around them, which could be maybe even a result of not properly communicating with everyone in the environment, or like kind of sensitizing them on what drones are, how they work, so that they're kind of not afraid when they see the technology. That could also be one of the other challenges. Then we have the challenges with the technology. Maybe you would want to fly your drones for longer, but you have limitations in the amount of time that you can fly or how far you can fly. Those are some of the factors that I can give you. And for the person who asked if there are any requirements, prerequisites before learning how to fly drones, I kind of addressed something like this in the meeting that we had yesterday on Twitter, where someone asked that why does it seem like there's a certain demographic that drone technology here in Malawi is kind of limited to. So I just wanted to kind of encourage you to say, okay, there's not really a demographic that is limited to, but it's kind of the perception that is given out there. But institutions such as the African Drone and Data Academy and the African Drone and UNICEF encourage people from diverse backgrounds to come into the program. So you don't necessarily need specific things, but you can come from any background. They'll teach you from scratch how to analyze your data. They'll teach you from scratch how to work with your hardware, your drones, and everything. So yeah, that's what it is if you about the prerequisite. Of course, it can give you kind of like a leg up to have maybe a tech background or something, but the African Drone and Data Academy does its best to accommodate people from different backgrounds and pair them up with other people that they know that they can work best together, so that at the end of the program, like you have all the information that you need. Someone asked also about the CDDT online courses, and I think Ndabile addressed that. If you have also more questions about that, you can just ask me directly. And then there's another question that says, I'm in Nigeria. What challenges do you experience in collaboration with other countries? Do you work with terrestrial or marine drones? Okay, for me, I haven't really had the experience or haven't heard of anyone currently flying terrestrial or marine drones in Malawi. I'm not sure if there's anyone on the space that has done anything of this sort, but for me, right now in Malawi, I'm not sure that we're working with it with marine drones. When it comes to collaboration with other countries, I'd also like to open the floor to other drone pilots or people who are in the drone industry in Malawi here that have had the opportunity to work specifically with pilots or projects from other countries to come in on that. But yeah, for me, I haven't had the experience.
I can start a little bit when it comes to the collaborations. Is a little bit from the part of it from the ADDA is, I think it's a little bit challenging to have licenses converted into for example, you're from Nigeria and you come to Malawi to get a license from the ADDA because most countries do not have drone regulations in effect, like we are in implementation. There isn't clearly stated ways on how you can actually convert a license that you got, let's say, from Zambia or Ghana to your particular country. It takes forever.
Sorry, Alex. Sorry. If you guys have like more questions, let's rejoin using the same link because we're out of time. So let's just rejoin and we'll address more questions on the other one. Thanks.
All right. I was waiting for oh, it's less than a minute. Okay.